Today on Ag Ecetera, learn about the K-State Mesonet. Chip Redmond introduces us to the new weather station in Rossville, which is the newest station of 62 stations across the state, and how you can access them. Then we're at High Plain Journal's Soil Health U, where Ray Ward explains why it's important to test your pasture soils. Find out what research has shown on the effects of heat on cattle. Dallas Peterson explains herbicide-resistant traits, ones available now, and what we will see in the future. David Schemm explains what programs are available to cattle producers during a disaster. It's all coming up on Ag Ecetera.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
Imagine turning soybean oil, used cooking oils, and waste animal fats into fuel so amazing it drives U.S. jobs and our economy forward. Learn more about biodiesel at americasadvancedbiofuel.com.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
My name is Chip Redmond. I'm a Kansas Mesonet manager. I work at Kansas State University. So we operate the Kansas Mesonet, which is a network of 62 weather stations across the state that update and provide real-time weather data. And we also have an objective to collect climate data as well, so develop 30-year climate records at each location to help with climate change research. This station here is the Rossville Mesonet. It's called Rossville 2 Southeast. You can access it on the website at mesonet.ksu.edu. We can look at it right now and see what the winds are, or the wind in the temperature. The station was put here thanks to a partial grant from the Soybean Commission, and so they helped fund half the station. And it's an update from the old station that used to be at the experiment field that started collecting data in 1985. So we have quite the climate record there. All the instrumentations come into the central hub, which is the data logger, and it collects all that data real time up to 1 minute resolution. That data gets sent to Throckmorton. Some of the instrumentation we have is a pressure sensor, and then we send data through a modem, and we have a charge controller to regulate all that power. Everything goes to, with all the sensors, we have a solar radiation sensor that measures incoming solar radiation, which is extremely helpful to calculate evapotranspiration, as well as fire danger indices. We're the only network in the state that measures solar radiation, and all that data is real time. Another useful product too is the cattle comfort index, which requires solar radiation, and that's become extremely important, especially this year when it's so humid. If we go into the ground, down here we have conduit running down and follow it to the green fence there. Underneath that green fence is soil moisture sensors at 4 depths. We have 2, 4, 10, and 20-inch depths. That data is also provided on the website, and we can look at vertical movement of water as well as drought development or erosion as we've had this year. And so by having these different stations, we can look at different types of soil. Like this is a sandier soil. If we go out to Rossville station, it's more of a silt loam, so it behaves a lot differently. We also have soil temperature at 2 inches and 4 inches, which is extremely critical for planting and frost freeze depths and that type of thing. All that data, in fact, Rossville is one of the stations where we have 30-year climatology of soil temperature data. So this year we were able to look at that and say, in March we were the coldest we'd ever been at 2 inches and 4 inches, which is pretty incredible when you think about that for a 30-year period. So you go up, we have a little beehive up there in the top left, that's at 6 foot. That's your temperature and humidity sensor. And we can use it to calculate dew point and wet bulb as well. We go over to the left, we have our wind speed and wind direction. And that measures real time as well, a very important thing for the National Weather Service. They want to look at severe weather for watches and warnings, as well as evaporation, evapotranspiration, and that type of thing. And we also measure temperature and humidity and wind and speed and direction up there at 30 foot as well. And what that does is that provides us a look at turbulence. We can look at turbulence from the surface up, and we can also look at inversions, which is extremely important these days with new concerns about spray and off-target drift. And so that we're able to develop measure inversions here, and that correlates with the experiment field where we can do on the farm research type things and actually look at those drift issues. The last thing over here is we have a rain gauge, 2 rain gauges. It's got an ultra shield surrounding it that creates turbulence that helps us catch that moisture instead of it blowing across the top. We have 2 rain gauges just to double our chances at measuring good rainfall and to verify each one. We're also looking at transitioning to, these are more of an old school rain gauge. We're hoping to transition to more of a modern weighing gauge in the future.
Kim Mannering with Hardy Insurance. Today we will talk about umbrella coverage. Did you know that if you're held liable in any type of accident, the judgment can claim your assets? Please give me a call so we can discuss. 316-945-6733.
For the 15th annual Fall Bull Sale at Gardner Angus Ranch, Monday, September 30th at 9 a.m., featuring approximately 450 registered bulls, 160 registered females, including 35 cows and 125 heifers, and 300 bred commercial females. These are elite herd sire prospects and rank in the top percentiles of the Angus breed for calving ease, growth, and end-product merit. Catalog will be available at GardnerAngus.com. Register for online bidding at liveauction.tv. It's business as usual, producing value-added seed stock that provides opportunities for profitability regardless of our customers' chosen marketing endpoint. See you in September at the ranch.
This segment brought to you by Sure Crop, liquid crop nutrition delivered right to your farm.
I'm Ray Ward from Kearney, Nebraska. I have Ward Laboratories, and we do a lot of health testing and other soil testing, feed testing, water testing, those kind of things. And 3 things that I wanted the farmers, the ranchers to take care of. And I noticed that a lot of our range and pastures are deteriorating, getting weeds in them, they're being overgrazed. And so I wanted to talk to them about kind of how grass grows. And the one important part of grass growing is you have to have carbohydrates in the root system to make the grass recover faster when it's grazed. And if you keep grazing it down to the ground all the time, like I see some pastures, then the root system gets shallower, and so you don't have as much water. You're more affected by drought than if you had the full root system. And so there's a whole bunch, and then I want, I really think I got to encourage the farmers, ranchers, how to evaluate their situation, because every one of those pastures is going to be a little different depending on where you're located, and I got to do the same thing in my own pastures, and so I'm trying to. It's a new topic for me today, and there's some analogies I use on testing, and Heather, you drive the car. And you get in, and what's one of those things you look at on the dash? And that's the gas gauge. So you say, well, I can get by, or I got to stop and get gas before I can go. So now we're putting nutrients on the soil. Well, what's the gauge? Do you need nutrients? Maybe you don't need anything. And if you don't have a soil test, or whatever test it is, you don't know where you are. And then the other one I like to use is you pull the dipstick on one tractor, and do you put that much oil in all the rest of the tractors, or do you check the dipstick on each tractor? Because that implies that you have to, every field, every kind of thing needs to be checked. So you get the right. So you got a gauge for everything, so to speak. Number one, we're saving soil, because if even NRCS says you can lose 5 tons a year and be in compliance for the farm program and the conservation program. 5 tons a year in 30 years is 1 inch of topsoil. In 300 years, that's 10 inches topsoil gone. How productive is the soil going to be if you're we lost topsoil faster than that in the past, and so that's number one, is saving soil. Number 2 is if I get more organic matter in the soil, and then I got better soil structure, I can take more water in, and I can hold more water, and so I have less water going off. And now if I got more water in the soil and I got microbe life going, and I'm not overdoing the chemical thing, I got better water quality going to the groundwater, or better water quality going off in a stream than what we do in kind of our conventional stuff. Now, negative things, the only negative thing is that I don't understand how Gabe Brown can do all this stuff he's doing with no input costs. And that's great, but how do I get there? That's kind of my question on, and that's why I go to these things, because every time you go, you learn a little bit and you experiment a little bit, and I'm pretty cautious in kind of my reaction, so I don't go whole hog. It's a gradual change.
What if sustainability were synonymous with U.S. soy? If energy efficiency, water quality, and soil health help define U.S. soy's value, that future is here, the time is now. To meet end-user demands, the soybean checkoff is committing to sustainability that's achievable, worthwhile, and enduring. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Okay, looks like it's time for our tour. Welcome to the Fort Wallace Museum. Here at the museum, you're going to find some really interesting stuff, like our replica stagecoach from the Butterfield Overland Dispatch. We've got facades from the fort buildings. We've got an 1870s flag. There's a plesiosaur that was discovered locally. We've got the Ray pump organ collection. We're a little bitty place with a great big story, and we'd love to have you.
You don't have to be a farmer or rancher to become a Kansas Farm Bureau member. Anyone can join. As a member, you'll get discounts on things like hotels and entertainment, health and wellness services, cell phone plans, and more. You'll also strengthen the lives of your fellow Kansans and help build strong, prosperous communities through agriculture advocacy and education. Join us today. Visit kfb.org/join to learn more.
This segment brought to you by Santa Fe Trail Meats in Overbrook. Let us help feed your family.
Animal science has studied and gained a better understanding of the direct and indirect effects of heat on cattle.
I think a decade ago or longer, it really was believed that feed intake was the main driver of reduced performance during heat stress. And I think we're starting to understand that there's other things happening as a result of heat stress. I think we're more aware now that of the metabolic effects.
So what happens to heat-stressed cattle?
They start to change their nutrient partitioning and their fuel selection in terms of fatty acids versus carbohydrates or glucose. When we think about skeletal muscle, obviously it takes a lot of energy for muscle to grow and for lean tissue accretion. And during heat stress, we're seeing changes that prevent the animal from making those changes, appropriately using fuel substrates for energy use and then protein deposition.
Cattle producers can take steps to help reduce the heat load and keep their herd more comfortable.
Right now, the biggest thing that cattle producers can do to combat heat stress really revolve around infrastructure and management decisions. And so a key thing is, if possible, trying to provide shade to prevent solar radiation and damaging effects from an elevated heat load associated with that.
Beyond shade, Rhoads suggests feeding and working cattle in the coolest parts of the day and providing plenty of cool water in clean tanks and troughs.
Whenever the water temperature elevates, impairs not only the ability of the animal to dissipate heat, but then they also want to drink less. If it's warm, greater than 35 degrees Celsius, that's going to negatively impact their heat load. And so, all of those things can sum to affect how the animal responds to that heat.
Rule of thumb resources like the Temperature Heat Index, or THI, and the Heat Load Index can help awareness of stress thresholds and gauge environmental impacts on animals.
Traditionally, we've thought that a THI value of 72 is when the animal is going to start to experience heat stress. Recent research has shown that that's actually probably lower, probably about 68. And it's simply because we've got more efficient animals, higher producing animals, and so they're also producing more metabolic heat as a result.
I'm Bob Cervera.
Join us for the 15th Annual Fall Bull Sale at Gardner Angus Ranch, Monday, September 30th at 9 a.m., featuring approximately 450 registered bulls, 160 registered females, including 35 cows and 125 heifers, and 300 bred commercial females. These are elite herd sire prospects and rank in the top percentiles of the Angus breed for calving ease, growth, and end product merit. Catalog will be available at GardnerAngus.com. Register for online bidding at liveauction.tv. It's business as usual, producing value-added seed stock that provides opportunities for profitability regardless of our customers' chosen marketing endpoint. See you in September at the ranch.
Hello, I'm Dr. Frank Lyons from Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center here in Manhattan, Kansas. Daryl was one of our patients that we did about 7 months ago.
I dug trees by hand for years and years and years. In the process, I wore out my rotating saw. But when I learned about this process, I thought if there's a way to get rid of this pain, then I want to do it. So we did it, and it worked. I'm not going to go out and take trees with a shovel anymore, but I can do the things that I want to do now.
Well, it's been very gratifying to help people with their painful joints and other entities, and it's been especially gratifying to be able to help people who I know and have worked with and known for many years.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or for more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
This is Dallas Peterson, Extension Weed Specialist at Kansas State University, and we were at the Rossville Field Day this evening. And the topic I covered was just kind of an overview of integrated weed management. This past season obviously was a very difficult one for a lot of growers in terms of producing a crop and also managing their weeds. All the wet weather that we had starting last fall actually made applying herbicides in a timely manner to get good herbicide activation and control before the weeds got too large was really quite a challenge. In the end, however, I think most farmers have done a pretty good job. One of the good things about moisture is when we have good moisture, the crops grow good. And in general, herbicides work better when the weeds are actively growing than when they're under moisture stress or drought stress. So again, things have worked fairly well. One of the things that farmers have to think about as they plan for weed control or weed management in the future is that they need to consider a good, diversified, integrated weed management plan that includes cultural practices as well as a diversified herbicide program through time, not just a single application. Mixing up different herbicide modes of action to try to prevent the development of resistance. They also have a lot of choices today about different herbicide-resistant traits in their crops that they can choose from. Some of the new traits that have been introduced recently, for example, are Enlist soybeans. Enlist soybeans have resistance to 3 different herbicides, 2,4-D, Liberty or glufosinate, and glyphosate or Roundup. That was introduced on a small scale this year, but certainly will be available on a larger scale next year. Keep in mind that Enlist soybeans, however, are not resistant to dicamba. So if we're planting Enlist soybeans in the same vicinity as Extend or dicamba resistant soybeans, then we have the potential both for drift of the dicamba to the Enlist soybeans causing problems, as well as the Enlist or 2,4-D products to the Extend soybeans and causing problems. Another new trait that actually was Introduced this year is what we call the LLGT27 soybeans. Those have resistance to glufosinate or Liberty herbicide, along with glyphosate or Roundup herbicide, and what we call the Group 27 herbicides, which would give us the opportunity to maybe use that group of herbicides as part of our pre-emergence program. At this point in time, however, there is no Group 27 herbicide actually registered for use on those soybeans, and so until that happens, that still isn't an option. The other trait that they hope will be available maybe next year would be what are called Extend Flex soybeans. Extend Flex soybeans have resistance to dicamba, as do the Extend soybeans, to glyphosate or Roundup, and also to glufosinate or Liberty. So for those growers who like to use Liberty as an alternative herbicide for weed control, especially for the glyphosate resistant weeds, they could do that and still not have to worry about having dicamba drift damage to their Liberty Link soybeans. So that has not been released yet because it's still not approved by all the export markets, but again, that may be available next year, so you'll have to kind of stay tuned and see what its availability is. It really doesn't matter which trait you use. You need to obviously know what your herbicide resistant traits are and then use the appropriate herbicides within that program. There are a lot of good herbicide options out there, but again, the key is to use a program approach and not just rely on a single herbicide within that program.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, cleaner American fuel. Message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well on their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, and we're glad to answer it and work with you.
Imagine turning soybean oil, used cooking oils, and waste animal fats into fuel so amazing it drives U.S. jobs and our economy forward. Learn more about biodiesel at americasadvancedbiofuel.com.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
This segment brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
I'm David Schemm. I'm State Executive Director for the Kansas Farm Service Agency. Had the opportunity today to talk about our livestock disaster programs that the Farm Service Agency offers to our livestock producers out there. 3 of the programs that I talked about that has affected our producers this year, and they have opportunity to be able to sign up for. One is what we call the LIP, or the Livestock Indemnity Program. This program is designed for producers who have lost those livestock out there because of a qualifying disaster event. And those disaster events can be such things as blizzards, excess of moisture, various things like that. And it can qualify for cattle all the way from new baby calves to older livestock animals there. So that's the Livestock Indemnity Program. The other program we have is what we call the Emergency Livestock Assistance Program, or ELAP. And that can help out producers that are in affected drought situations. Example, have to haul water to their livestock there. And that's based upon, again, drought occurring or affecting those producers there. And then the third program that I was able to talk today with our producers on is the LFP, or the Livestock Forage Program. And the Livestock Forage Program helps to indemnify those producers who have lost grazing because of a qualifying drought in the year. And so that can happen. We go by the U.S. Drought Monitor map, and that can occur whenever we have a D3 or D4 drought designation in a county. It can also occur when there's been 8 consecutive weeks of a D2 drought. And that's an opportunity for a producer then to come in there to our county offices, and they will let producers know that there's a sign-up period and they can sign up for that programs. So those 3 programs I was able to talk about today, again, the Livestock Indemnity Program, the Emergency Livestock Assistance Program, and the Livestock Forage Program.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. Watch Ag AM in Kansas online at agaminkansas.com.
My name's Karen Cope, and I have multiple sclerosis. When you have MS, on the outside you look great, but you know what's really going on in the inside is chronic body pain, chronic fatigue. And there's lots of days that I'd wake up and say, oh, please God, help me get through this day. You know, after stem cells, Chloe, my youngest daughter, she was asked by my father-in-law, how's your mom doing? And Chloe said, Grandpa, I've never had a mom like this before, because she was 8 when I was diagnosed, and she really had no other memory of me but being sick. It's really the simple things that we do as a family, like play cards, and to be able to win at cards. You know, they all laugh because I used to repeat myself and say, what hand are we on? You know, where are we at? And it's just been really a true blessing from God, and we're really thankful.
Welcome to the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center, right here in my hometown of Oakley, Kansas. We're the front door of Western Kansas, located on 3 main highways, I-70, US 83, and US 40. And all those roads lead to history, beautiful scenery, and adventure, no matter which direction you go. We now have an IHOP. That brand that you've trusted up and down the road in all your travels is staffed with local folks, real people, just like you and me, and we're waiting on you to join us. So for fun, adventure, fuel up, fuel your body, and let's have some fun.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.